Make me wait for us a little bit later on. Excited about
that. That's fantastic. Last week, a £7.2 million investment that would transform Cleethorpes in Lincolnshire was announced, which could see more people visiting the seaside town.
Now, sadly, this comes too late for the town's theme park, which closed after 23 years. The owners put everything up for auction, so let's find out what happened when it went
under the hammer.
5 years ago, Pleasure Island in Cleethorpes was struggling to stay open.
We've managed to survive one bad year. I wouldn't like to make any predictions at this point.
But in October 2016, its owner, Melanie Wood, felt she had no option but to close its doors for good.
People are struggling to make ends meet, so places like this are very much a luxury, not a necessity. There's higher costs to operate parks like this. There really is a lot working against us.
So, what do you do when you have a whole park full of games and rides to sell? Well, have an auction, of course.
It's an auction unlike any I've seen before and is being run by a local company in Grimsby who want to trade on our love for childhood nostalgia. Carl Vince is the auctioneer.
Who's going to be buying these things?
We don't just want the trade buying it, we want to aim it at the public as well. What we wanted to do was actually say to people, look, come along to Pleasure Island and buy a little bit of your childhood.
I have an eye for a collectible, but I'm not sure even I can spot what's going to sell today.
That's a good one. All right. So give us an idea of what sort of thing buyers can pick up at Pleasure Island today.
You've got the stuff from the gift shops, all the retro video games, you've got the rides out on the park, a set of dodgems, and then of course the fabulous carousel. Seeing is believing with this, it is one of the most stunning fairground rides you will see.
With a stunning list price too. Carl thinks it could sell for upwards of £180,000. That would be a big deal for any provincial auction house, let alone one that has only been in business for 7 months.
We've had interest in Dubai now, we've had interest in China, we've also had interest locally. But do you know what? Will it sell? I'm not sure. It's a lot of money.
There are just over 1,200 lots in total, including signs, games and characters from the much-loved Tinkerboo ride that was made especially for the park.
The Tinkerboo factory was the main attraction, and yeah, I come here with my mum today because we're desperate to get a piece of said Tinkerboo factory.
Many of the people here were visitors to Pleasure Island in its heyday, so if they fancy a piece of memorabilia, they can expect to pay anything from a tenner for a sign up to £180,000 for that star of the show, the carousel.
It's a box of fruit ninja tennis.
So the bidders are starting to fill the rooms, and like them, people at home can take part online in real time. So, plenty of opportunities to sell. Let's see how it all unfolds.
Husband and wife team, Chris and Chris, have come along to see if they can grab themselves some theme park memorabilia and have set their sights on something very specific.
Right, Chris, I've come and sat down beside you because one of the next lots you quite fancy, don't you?
Yes.
So what is it?
It's the churn game where you throw a ball into the milk churns. We fancy it for our garden.
But no one's listening. Have you got a limit in mind? 50 to 70 is the estimate.
I think we'll go for 1 over 100. 420, 440 anyway. 440 £440 bid. £440 bid. 460 anyway. £460 anyway. I'm going to sell this one.
450!
450 I'll take. I'll take 450. £450.
Things are going well with just over 600 items sold already. But how does watching the auction feel for owner Melanie?
It's very positive, obviously from a financial point of view, but also certain things are going on to other theme parks. So the life continues and the story goes on.
Time for the biggest lot of them all.
Here it is, the carousel ride, £180,000. Any interest in this whatsoever? Anything on the internet? No? It doesn't look like it's going to happen today.
Oh, what a shame Carl's had to pass it. But I'm certain that after the sale, they'll get it away. Bit of an anticlimax, I'm sure Carl will be disappointed. Oh! £180,000 has just come in over the internet.
But seconds later, it seems the sale isn't a done deal.
What a roller coaster, never mind the carousel. The online bidder is on the phone saying that he didn't mean to bid on the lot.
feel so sorry for Carl.
Despite there being no confirmed sale on the carousel, for Carl, it's still been a day to remember.
2 days, you know, that I will just cherish for the rest of my auctioneering career.
And whilst most of the big ticket items have sold, for many it was always going to be about getting their hands on priceless childhood memories.
It was such a big part of our childhood. At least I've always got something to remember by, I suppose.
Now, sadly, although there was interest in the carousel after the auction, it's still not been sold.
No.
But we do hope Chris and Chris have fun with their milk churns.
I think they overpaid for them.
What was it, 450 quid? There's a lot you could do for 450
Cut and
quid.
sheep for some milk churns, but they're happy. They're thrilled.
They're happy.
They look lovely in the garden. Now, our next lot is called